The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yet. Yes. Good morning, you guys. It's Wednesday, July 2nd, and today is a National Wildland Firefighter Day.
Shout out to all those guys.
100%.
Got some good friends that do that.
Mm-hmm. Shout
out to all the incarcerated wildland firefighters in California. Going to fire camp gets your time shortened, but it also is a very dangerous service they're providing to our state. So shout out to them as well.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. It's
you
also
better not be.
No. I think it's a fantastic thing. I'm in full support of firefighters. I love firefighters. As a matter of fact, I'm a firefighter.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Continue.
I'm just saying. It's just true. It's just true.
Just because you went to the station and they gave you the little plastic red hat, you slid down the pole one time.
Sorry, Jenny Beth. I'm not a stripper. I don't slide down poles.
Okay.
It's also National Anisette Day today, this morning, you guys.
What?
Anisette Day. Anisette Day, it says.
What does that even mean?
All right. There we go. That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for that question, Sohum, just so you know. I was totally waiting for that. That's exactly what
everyone else just wanted to pretend like they knew what it was.
I know. Everyone wants to act like they're smarter than they are. I know. I get it.
Or we just wanted Jason to keep it pushing.
Yeah. I mean, we know that you would think that.
It's a beverage.
What does it mean?
It's a beverage. It's on July 2nd. We recognize the liquor derived from aniseed on National Anisette Day. Aniseed is from the anise herb and gives anisette its licorice or fennel flavor. While usually
cool. Happy Anus Day to you too, Jason.
What?
Said happy Anus Day to you too. The anus seed.
Yeah, ANIS.
I said it can't. No way. It's anus.
I swear to God, it's ANIS. Anus.
That's not how anus is spelled, Jason.
Well, that's how I sound.
Anus is spelled with a U. Much like Uranus.
Not here. Not here on this. Not here on this website. It's not spelled with a U.
I'm telling you that it might not be anus.
For Jason, it's spelled with an I.
Jason's not picking up what I'm putting down, but it's okay. We'll keep it pushing.
Jenny. She's a special one. She's a special one. Well, anyways, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are kicking it off today with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3. And she's coming to you live from her bedroom where all the viewers want to be. That's right. It is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Hilarious. It's nice to have dreams, guys. It's nice to have dreams, but some of them never come true. Okay. So rather than read another story that's like all the other stories that we've done recently about California's taxes or how we're overtaxed because blah, 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 that's a nothing burger. We know this. We know this. Same story, insert state, city name here. Let's talk about some fucked up use of the tax funds that were collected from cannabis. Because in Mecosta County today, controversy is brewing over plans to reallocate roughly $200,000, about a quarter of the county's $774,000 marijuana excise tax fund, to help Green Charter Township cover legal fees in its ongoing lawsuit against Gotion, Inc. Gotion, a Chinese-affiliated battery component manufacturer, sued after the township rescinded its development agreement for a proposed battery plant project named Project Elephant, a change driven by public concern over both environmental risk and overseas ties. A federal court issued a preliminary injunction in May, obliging the township to cooperate until the appeal is heard. Supporters of the funding argue it's a stand for local self-determination and solidarity, rescuing a township caught in a legal bind after being elected by residents to reverse a previous decision. But critics like Commissioner Chris Jane warn that using cannabis tax dollars for a single township's lawsuit is both unfair and a dangerous precedent, particularly when so many other community services are underfunded. Critics also point to public opposition highlighted by an upcoming rally on July 3rd, urging commissioners to instead fund essential services like firefighters, law enforcement, senior care, and youth programs. With final budget approval expected at Thursday's July 3rd meeting, the drama is heating up. Will the county stand with Green Charter Township or stick to funding public services for all? So, we're going to have to stay tuned for that one because this is hot fucking bullshit. When taxes are pushed through, there are provisions in those documents that say how these funds are supposed to be allocated. I read through the ways that they were supposed to be allocated, and that ain't in there. Oops, oh shit, we pulled back on a Chinese national contract and they're suing us. Is not an allocation of those funds. To take a quarter of those funds for one small township inside that county is absolutely egregious. It's not Cannabis's fault that you guys fucked up and got in bed with the wrong people. It's not the people of Mecosta County's fault that one township fucked up. That is going to be on that township, and if you can't afford that battle, then I guess you better call China and ask for some grace over here, because cannabis taxes cannot be reallocated for that. They're supposed to be community redevelopment funds based on what that county passed their tax regulations for. So I'll throw it back to you guys, but I call bullshit.
Wow. More
you like that story, Jason?
I did.
The ones you gave me.
I did. I was so glad that you chose that one because that was definitely on the list of what needed to be covered today. This township, man. These people, they just do what they want. That's like they're the honey badgers all of a sudden with your tax revenue. We're just gonna do what I want. We're gonna appropriate over here, appropriate over there, and catch me if you can. Ha ha ha. It's like they're like the Joker and Batman.
This is emblematic of what's wrong with this state. I'm sorry.
Well, this is Michigan, Dale.
We don't have enough funds to pay our bills, and yet they're taking these overtaxed excise tax funds, sticking them into things that I agree with Jenny. I don't think they have the authority to be allocating these funds for this. I just don't know where these fools think they're going. Because I would hope that the general public would be pissed off about all this right now. They've overspent so much and so long in this state. Now they're just trying to grab money everywhere they can to deal with their fuck-ups. Mm-hmm. And we can't afford to pay what's on the list, let alone what's not on the list. And they want to imagine's on the list where these funds can go.
So confusing about how taxpayer dollars are used in general is I understand we need to have like a separation, much like the separation of church and state. We need to have a separation of business and state, but we need to have business-minded people in the office. And I'm talking about real business, not let me fuck everyone over so I can get mine and I don't give a rat's ass about the future because I don't care about future generations. We need to do better.
You don't care about your kids?
I'm talking about those people. I care. That's why I show up.
Okay.
I do my homework. I prepare. I understand business principles and how to spend money. And I think spending our tax dollars is a massive issue that needs reformation across the board. It's not unique to cannabis. It's not unique to California. And it just appears that legislators are here to make rules for all of us, but fail to follow them almost every single time. So
keep electing.
We need to change things. You know, we got to change shit.
I kind of agree with you, but I'm going to push back on that. I don't agree with the idea that government should be run like a business. Yes, we should learn how to balance a budget. No, it shouldn't. We should learn how to balance a budget, but the point of government is not to generate profit, which is the explicit point of a business.
That's a for-profit business. Nonprofits are also businesses too, Sohum.
But in a capitalist system,
when you're talking about a business-minded person, but there's no.
But we can't support the people with nothing. We have to have business-minded financial.
Again, I don't agree. I mean, look at what happened when you had a person like Elon Musk who came in and was running the Department of Government.
It was freaking awesome.
They didn't do anything. They did not do anything legitimate. They exfiltrated like 7 terabytes worth of data of American citizens. They took a fucking chainsaw to the government where they could have used a scalpel. Like, nobody is arguing against more efficiency in the government. Nobody is arguing against balancing the budget, balancing tax revenue and expenditures. That's not the issue. But we do not need to operate the government like a business. That is not a smart idea. We don't need, because how that always goes, as particularly for what you said in a capitalist system, is that the idea then is to maximize profit, which is not what the government is intended to do. It is not.
Well, that's not what I suggested at all. The idea is to smartly manage money. We have a massive deficit. We have created inflation. We have serious issues because we don't understand money. And this country operates on a debt principle that is ridiculous. It doesn't work for small consumers to consistently operate on credit. It doesn't work for the cannabis industry, as many people are learning. They're coming back up on their debt obligations and they're going to be forced out. And it doesn't work in our government. I'm not saying we need to have our government operate like a business, but we do need to have some basic business principles, because we are a capitalist system. No matter how you slice it, it's a capital-based system. Things require money to pay for public services. I am all about the social democracy or socialized care for the people, because I believe reinvestment in your people is the key to society growth, or societal growth and development and ingenuity. But this continued practice that I've seen at least since the 80s, like since I popped out of the womb, like, is ridiculous. We're rewarding these legislators for bad practice and bad financial habits. And Elon Musk, yes, he is an example, but that is the wrong example of what it is to be business-minded. I cannot consider you business-minded if your business is profit solely off of government contracts. I consider you smart at getting government contracts to fund your projects, not business.
I think maybe let's reframe it a little bit and take it off of a government being run like a business and look at our fucking policymakers and our legislators being more fiscally minded and more fiscally responsible, right? Because that's really what it is. They're not so much running a business as they are a trustee of the money that we are paying and allocating as taxpayers, right? So I disagree, actually. I think if you're running off of, government contracts, as a fucking contractor, a contractor with a long list of unpaid debts, hey, if you're out there and you owe me fucking money, shoot it to me. But also, I love government contracts. Why? Because they fucking pay them.
Yeah.
They pay them when they're due. They pay them on fucking time, and they allocate that money responsibly. Now, whether they're allocating to services that I don't feel are responsible, such as, we won't even get into that because Yara's not here and I don't have anybody to argue with on the far left. But
we got Sohum.
Sohum will do. I was about to say, you got to give me a second. Sohum, I'm only going to argue so far with Sohum. Sohum and I go back too many years for me to fucking really squabble down with him. But,
oh God,
I think that if you run a business and you're like, fuck, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on being a government contractor. I do think that that's good business. I think that that's excellent when you're looking at accounts receivable and your balances. But when we're looking at back to the story, I think that the real problem here is the taxpayers voted for representatives. The representatives voted for a tax program that allocated those funds. And now, without any prior representation, any fucking due process, they have absolutely just said, hey, fuck it, just kidding. We're going to take this money. Now, part of the story that I didn't read is this has led to resignations of the people who decided to try and allocate those funds that way. Why? Because your ass is about to be grasped because you breached your fiduciary duty to your constituents.
I mean, and to take it back to the story, like you said, Jenny, I mean, at the end of the day, I've said it a million times before, and I'll say it a million times again. We need to just start taking cannabis tax dollars and allocating it into a general budget, whether that's at the state level or a local level, and force them to balance their budget. That's it. We need to stop taking cannabis tax dollars and trying to use it to cover specific purposes, because that's exactly where overtaxation comes from. When you're trying to use it as a cash cow for, you know, addressing some specific budget shortfall. Like, that's not what legalizing cannabis is for. That's not the purpose of it. And that's ultimately what happens in some of these, particularly these smaller jurisdictions, where they see the big dollar signs in their eyes. And
smaller jurisdiction, every jurisdiction.
Yeah, but it impacts the smaller jurisdictions more, right?
I think it's all relative.
This on a massive level and on a small scale level, but I agree with what you're saying, Sohum, and also Jenny. Like, I'm not knocking government contracts. I've worked for the government. I get it. There's just a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse in those contracts. There's a lot of contracts that are issued where no work gets done at all.
That's why we need Doge.
They'll pay you on time for sure, because that's your taxpayer dollar hard at work. Mm-hmm. But you have to be a bit more substantial than just being the right person to get the contract. Just being in the good old boys club to get the contract does not indicate that you have a savviness when it comes to actually balancing a budget. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Not against government contracts. I'll take them all day, but we can do better.
Well, on that, you guys, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be...
We didn't hear a word from Daddy Dale.
Yo, Dale, do you want to opine on this for a moment before we... Go for
this is indicative of how fucked up California's business climate is. Mm-hmm. Because businesses are leaving the state because, and I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to throw this back in our camp. There's too much illiberalism in the Democratic Party. They want to control everything. They don't understand that if you don't make a climate so that workers and the people who employ them can actually make money, you are going to go off the cliff. And we're watching it now. They don't have, they've overspent on shit that the average person's going, I didn't want you spending money on that. I sent you to Sacramento to help us out, and you're spending money on stuff that I don't want to be spent on. Mm-hmm. How do we fix this? And a development agreement gives vested rights to whoever they gave them to. Okay. So it isn't like we used to have to do in the industry where you can pull this stuff back after 6 months or a year. A development agreement gives you vested rights. And of course, if the government fucks you after giving you rights in a development agreement, they should be sued. There's my 2 cents for this story.
I love it, Dale. I love it. And then with a resignation on top of it all, Dale, afterwards.
We needed to hear from Daddy Dale. Sorry, I wanted to hear your voice.
It's accountability. That's the problem with government. It is not accountable.
Yep.
Send people to Sacramento or Washington, and they spend like drunken sailors on our credit card. Yep. And then when you try to hold them accountable, it's like, oh, you can't do that. Well, the hell we can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Get rid of them.
I'm with you, Dale. I'm with you all day. Get rid of them all day, every way. And that's why we need Doge in every state. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Yes, and we are back, you guys. We are back, Jenny.
Up next, the High at 9 head honcho, my favorite little buddy, the minivan man himself, Jason Beck.
Yes, the minivan man. That's cute. That's cute. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get a sign on it that says "Make Dad Jokes Great Again," you guys.
I told you to just wrap it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
You know that if you do, your mom in heaven is gonna like send a lightning strike, right?
No way. She would love that. She would love that.
You think?
100%. She would.
Shout out to Pat.
Yeah, she would love that. But man, oh man, Dale, you're gonna love this because a judge declines to block Alabama's new ban on smokable hemp. What's next for THC, you guys? Well, Montgomery County Circuit Judge James Anderson on Monday denied a request for 4 companies for an order to block part of Alabama's new law on products made from hemp. Anderson made the ruling after a hearing on Monday afternoon when lawyers for the companies told the judge why they believed a temporary restraining order was appropriate. Lawyers for the Attorney General, Steve Marshall, opposed the motion, and the new law, HB 445, bans the sales and possession of all smokable hemp products, and violations will be a Class C felony punishable by 1 to 10 years in prison. The part of the new law takes effect on Tuesday. That would be today, you guys, or yesterday, excuse me. The 4 companies, Mellow Fellow Fun LLC, Tasty Haze LLC, the Humble Hemp Shack LLC, and Seedless Green LLC, claimed that the ban on smokable hemp is preempted by federal law. Federal Farm Bill passed in 2018 distinguished hemp from marijuana and made it legal to grow and possess if the THC content is less than 0.3% or less. The plaintiffs claimed Alabama's ban on smokable hemp interferes with interstate commerce, and they say Anderson, after hearing the arguments, disagreed and denied the motion for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. In a quote, "The court finds as a matter of the law that House Bill 445 does not impede or prohibit interstate shipping of hemp products," Anderson wrote. The companies make other claims in their lawsuit filed on Friday, including that the new Alabama law is vague, and besides the ban on smokable hemp, it bans products such as gummies and drinks containing THC made from a synthetic process. Lawyers for the companies noted that the Alabama Department of Agriculture and Industries licenses companies to grow and process hemp. And when you're asking what you need to know about the new law, well, while the ban on the 2 categories of hemp products, smokable and with synthetic THC, takes effect yesterday, Tuesday, other parts of HB 445 go into effect in January. The Alabama Alcoholic Beverage Control Board will enforce restrictions on product testing, contents, serving sizes, labeling, and packaging, and the board will license retailers, which will be restricted to 21 and older shops, except for grocery stores, which will be able to sell beverages containing THC. The new law says gummies must be individually wrapped and sold in cartons with no more than 40 total milligrams or 4 gummies. Interesting. The companies that filed the lawsuit said they supported many of the new regulations, and the legislature passed HB 445 in May after considering several other bills on THC products and holding public hearings that drew packed crowds. Proponents of the legislation, Representative Andy Witt, Republican from Harvest, and Senator Tom Melson, Republican from Florence, said regulations were needed for the widely available smokables, gummies, edibles, and drinks, especially those that carried high dosages of THC, the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. And hemp shop owners and others in the business said they did not oppose regulations, but said HB 445 was an overreach and would put many of them out of business and deprive their adult customers of products they say are safer than alcohol and tobacco. And last week, state and local law enforcement served search warrants on hemp shops in 5 Alabama cities and seized smokable hemp products that officials said exceeded the 0.3% THC limit. And the Attorney General, Steve Marshall, showed that testing showed the products were marijuana and not hemp because of the THC levels. And officials said the raids were not related to HB 445, but were based on Alabama's longstanding law against marijuana possession and sales, they say. Well, I'm willing to bet that all these were false positives because they were tested in a gas chromatograph, and therefore they decarboxylated the bud, which made it all turn to Delta 9, which would be then at that point illegal. But nonetheless, I'm not the lawyer on the stage. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
This is the 10th Amendment. I don't know what their argument they think they're going to have here. It's because the federal government said you can have these products. They don't dictate how state law is going to handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem they got. And any state can say that THC and THCA qualify for the hemp laws. So I don't know where they think they're going with this other than it's stupid and you can't enforce this prohibition. I mean, you're going to take it out of a shop where they're doing it openly and notoriously, and it'll be around the corner in the alley. So good luck with this.
Right, Dale? Yeah, good luck.
I was actually just analyzing this bill. Some of the legislators in Texas want to know what Texas could do when we go back to special session. They asked about, tell me about Alabama and tell me about North Carolina, which are very different. So when evaluating the Alabama bill, it's bad. It's so bad, guys. Like you can get 10 milligram gummies, but only 4 per pack.
Well, 4
40 mgs.
Yeah.
That's less than a dose for some of us. Like less, some, especially veterans, are a 50 mg dose. Like, and that's barely to be normal. So there's a number of things. There's a number of injunctions that have already been filed. Like I'm using Alabama as an example for Texas. If Governor Abbott wants to avoid lawsuits, litigation, even though the judge overturned this particular one or didn't overturn, but wouldn't see it through, wouldn't see through this particular case, it doesn't mean that there won't be future follow-up lawsuit. I just think doing it through TRO, through restraining order, is going to be less likely in some of these southern states. I didn't mind at all what I saw in North Carolina, but I don't know if North Carolina is really going to be able to get that done. I hope so, because it is shining as a beacon of hope. I am so sorry for all y'all out there in Alabama, but I do like that you can buy THC infused beverages at the grocery store. We need to normalize this. This is beyond ridiculous.
You don't think that's kind of lame? That you can only buy the beverages at the grocery store.
Product, the Disty juice. How are you gonna say that?
I just think it's kind of lame that you only can buy beverages at the store. Like I want to be able to buy everything at the store.
Yeah, you should be able to buy everything at the store. Mind you, the legislators are going to move at a slower pace, and we're going to have to rack and stack what we get access to. That's why smokable's off the table in Alabama. But you're right, Jason. It's only going to push people to the illicit market if they can't get access to the things they actually want. And that all that's going to do is kill the Alabama market and push everyone back over to underground operators. Nothing against legacy market operators or underground operators who are some good stewards of the plant, but there are a lot of bad actors, and this overall is just not progress. This is bad. This is going backwards.
Now, you've got to show that you're likely to prevail on the merits of the case, and that's where they have a big problem. Because, apparently people don't understand this thing called the 10th Amendment that gives the states power of their own citizens' health, safety, and welfare. May not like it. And I think they have rectal myopia trying to pass bills that people aren't going to honor. And I've asked many of these politicians, why would you pass a law you can't enforce? They don't have an answer, but they still pass them. So here we are. At some point, they're going to say, oh, they were wrong all along and they should have supported this. But right now, we're still in a fist fight over the basics of trying to get people products they clearly want. And that's where the disconnect is with government and the citizens. Citizens want this. How do we know? Because they're buying this shit, taking it off the shelves in large numbers, and the illicit market is filling in the gaps. They clearly want it. Now, how do you get government to recognize that and take advantage of an opportunity for business and for tax revenue and things like that, and stop being, this mean mouth, ugly old church lady who won't let anything happen in my state because my mama said it wasn't good. Yeah, fuck all that.
That's funny, Dale.
Also, that four gummy package, like you can only have 40. Like that creates almost a de facto tolerance tax. Like you're gonna have to pay so much more to just get a standard dose. It's discriminatory in some ways. I know that it's not because it's a product, and I get it. They're measured. There's numbers. There's serving sizes, but the limitations create serious problems. It's ridiculous. Where else do we have like serving size? We have serving sizes that you can put on your label, and then from there you can determine if you're selling at volume or in smaller packages. And the customer can decide. Where do we get off telling the customer and the American citizen who's responsible, tax-paying, law-abiding, what they can have and what they can't have? This is like giving big gulp. And I love whoever said in the comments, at 10 mgs, the sugar is more addicting than the actual THC.
You might be onto something there, Shaun.
Product.
Just might be onto something there.
It's making me crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's what's doing it, Shaun. I'm kidding.
Many other things, Jenny, that are likely doing it.
I'm a bull mom too, and I don't think it's the sugar, Shaun. I don't think it's the sugar.
I took my boys to the range this week, so we're good. We had a great time.
Yeah, shoot them up, bang, bang.
Yeah, my son's 12. The only range I'm taking him to right now is the driving one.
Mm-hmm.
Good one. Good job.
I love golf, buddy. I mean, Alabama is archaic. Alabama's going to stay archaic. The good old boys are going to keep good old boying. And, the trappers are going to keep on trapping. So, hey, there's a surplus of Cali weed. I'm glad it's got somewhere to go.
I'm not mad
Dale's down. I love how he just silently agrees.
Yeah. You have any final thoughts on that, Sohum?
Obviously, I don't agree with the path they're taking. I mean, the 10 milligram per pack thing, I mean, I think that's kind of a moot point because there's no rule restricting how many packs of edibles you can buy. So I think that's neither here nor there. I mean, I do wish they had maybe taken a more Texas approach. Governor Abbott, Governor Hot Wheels gave us a pleasant surprise this week by vetoing SB3. Hey, I'm trying to pay the man a compliment here. A rare compliment. But yeah, I mean, like Jenny Beth said, it's Alabama. They're gonna do what Alabama does, and I think we can all agree that nobody expects them to really be at the forefront, the cutting edge of cannabis legislation. So, I mean, to be honest, I kind of don't give a fuck. I wish they would do better, but I wish they would do better. I wish the people in Alabama had better access to cannabis, but nobody's holding their breath for Alabama to legalize cannabis or provide us with the most, revolutionary system of regulating it. So whatever.
I think we should the fuck though is that legally it sets a precedent for other states to follow. So Governor Abbott said when he gave his proclamation on the veto, said that he was worried about being tied up in lawsuit. Now, as these other southern states and judges are saying, no, you might not be tied up in lawsuit because we're going all the way crazy. It hurts everybody else because we're all looking at each other for what laws are passing on the state level and then what we're going to do federally. So,
I mean, I guess my point is that if anybody is looking to Alabama as an example on how to regulate cannabis, then we have a much more serious problem that we should address. And that's that we should not be looking at Alabama as an example for fucking anything.
Well, maybe this is the thing.
Football.
This
maybe college football, and that's it.
Well, Sohum, but the thing about it, they have a more open hemp market than California does. Just saying.
Yeah, but California has I'm not going to say it's a
shithole.
Refined or well-functioning system, but California has an adult-use cannabis system, so access is there.
So you're saying you're saying you're only for cannabis, you're not for hemp, is what you're saying.
Obviously, I'm not saying that at all.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Ever said that?
That's what it sounds like to me.
I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
The mistake making is that's old way of thinking. Like that's 1994 California like marijuana legalization. It's different.
96.
96, thank you. Marijuana is a legal definition, and we have normalized ourselves to understanding all cannabis through this legal definition, which is arbitrary in essence because it's all cannabis, hemp, and
it's all
marijuana,
cannabis sativa L.
both cannabis.
Mm-hmm. It's all cannabis sativa L, but
Yeah, the way that the states did it as the only way to do this. Legal marijuana states are not the gold example. They're not the gold standard. Sorry.
Sohum apparently only likes his right hand and not his left hand. But,
when did I ever said that? I live in Texas where we can buy THCA in a fucking gas station. You can't do that in California.
You're hating on the hemp. Hating on the hemp. It's all right, Sohum. But
how am I hating on the hemp?
We're keeping this rolling.
Hating on hemp. All I'm saying is that we shouldn't be looking to Alabama as an example of regulation.
Yeah, but then when I said Alabama has a more looser market than California when it comes to hemp, you're like, yeah, but they have a regulated market, so who cares? So yeah, you're being a hemp hater right there. That's a hemp hater.
The only thing I said who cares about is about Alabama's regulatory framework. That's literally the only thing I said. Who cares about that?
Well, on that, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet and they make your breath stink, and he's honest and he's unconcerned with public opinions, your opinions, and everyone else's opinion for that matter. And he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right. It's none other than your favorite Tio Loco, Mr. Dale Schafer. And you can find him now at his own law office, at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My story this morning comes out of Marijuana Moment from yesterday, Kyle Yeager. And the headline is the Congressional Cannabis Caucus still hasn't held a meeting 6 months into this session, the co-chair says. So this is another one of those examples on the federal side that they have no fucking idea what they're doing with cannabis. Anything comes out of their mouth is to be taken with a large grain of salt. And I just don't know if we can read the tea leaves right now about where cannabis is going on the federal level, since they have a committee. It's the Cannabis Committee, and they haven't even met yet. I must put out there that Congress has been pretty busy over the last, few weeks on this bill that Trump is pushing, whatever you want to call it, majority if you want to attach to it. But that still doesn't mean they can't meet. I mean, people meet on committees all the time for stuff in Congress. So when I read through this, we've got Ilhan Omar is one of the new members, and she's a bit controversial. She's a bad human being, but there's a few people out there who don't particularly like her, and I don't think she particularly likes everybody in Congress. But, hey, we got to all live together. And Dinah Titus replaced from California. I don't remember what her name was, but we had Blumenauer and another Democrat from California here, and then Dave Joyce and Brian Mast are still there.
Barbara Lee is who she replaced.
Barbara Lee, there you go. I had a brain fart. I'm getting old, and
it's all good. I'm here for you, Dale. Old. I got you.
There you go. Okay, what I found interesting here, though, is some comments by Matt Gaetz. Now, he sort of poo-pooed Trump's support of the Florida legislation, as he said that he was just trying to get young voters. He doesn't think it actually reflects what Trump thinks about cannabis. And I think that's one of the issues that we can try to read tea leaves. Trump has never made a statement of how he feels about cannabis. He did mouth some support for the legislation in Florida, but he certainly didn't do very much more than that. And at this point, Pam Bondi has refused to say what she's going to do. She's pretty important in this, as I think we covered the story last week. And Attorney General has the power to move scheduling around. Yep. He could do it unilaterally. How, whether someone would go and try to stop her, those are a bunch of other things. But if she was really bold, she could just say, fuck it, take it out of the schedule altogether, let the Congress do something about that or try to stop her. And then Cole, the guy who's supposed to become the head of the DEA, he is still not taken a stance about what he's going to do. And no one has really stated from this administration what they would like to see happen. Now, we're all involved in cannabis. So for us, cannabis is right up there in importance for the people we represent, for the businesses we work with, for what we're trying to do here. But obviously at the federal level, it's not getting a lot of attention right now. And I don't know exactly what that means. Perhaps if we get past this spending bill, however it's going to turn out, we can turn our attention to some more things that people like us want to have on the agenda. Can we get some rescheduling? Is a disaster. I don't think the DEA is going to let it happen. You read those tea leaves. They don't want that to happen. But whether we can get it out completely and what we're going to do with it, I don't know yet. They're not signaling where they're going to go. And anything that they might say under their breath or without being official about it, I wouldn't put too much stock in it right now. I don't think the federal government has a plan of what to do. We'll see what comes out of this funding bill, whether they make it better or worse when it comes to cannabis. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm going to throw us back at you guys for your comments about this.
Well, Dale, I don't think it's that big of a deal that they haven't had a meeting at all. And I was doing some research on this, and I saw our friend Natalie Fertag. She put out a tweet in relation to this, and she says, just to FYI, because folks are still sending me this, the context is that the Cannabis Caucus had never had formal meetings, and there was a cannabis working group run by outside advocates who have since left, plus by staff from Representative Earl Blumenauer, who retired last year, and that was our friend Laura Thrift who was running that. And so there's just no one that's really running this kind of thing, and so I don't think that this is a big deal that this hasn't happened.
It's pretty standard, I would say. They've got a number of freaking constitutional issues that we're looking at right now. We're in the country we're focused on a lot of stuff right now. I don't have words. We also consider Pam Bondi's record, and she's not going to do this, guys. She's very highly conservative. I
don't know about all that. You guys all said that Governor Abbott wasn't going to not veto it, and then he did. And so, you know what I mean? You got to give these people some slack and cut them a little bit of slack. You can't just be so negative all the time, all negative Nelly.
I'm practical and a little bit realistic, and we got a veto. That doesn't mean Texas is going to fully legalize, guys. It's a veto, and he said he wants it to be enforceable. And we have to see Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's still going ham. So is Charles Perry.
Yeah.
At least to duke this out. And on the federal level, they've got money that they've answered for. They've got their policy stances that they're positioning. And I don't think they are going to decriminalize on a mass scale because of private prison money, detention centers, things like Alligator Alcatraz.
I'm a fan of Alligator Alcatraz. I think that was a fantastic use of funds.
Disgusting.
Fucking asinine. It's horrible.
Alligators, bro. I love alligators.
I love alligators, but we don't need to have a concentration camp that's surrounded by alligators.
That is not a concentration camp.
It absolutely is a fucking concentration camp.
No way. It's an extraction camp.
And I think that, okay, whoa. So, concentration camps and what happened to the Jews under Hitler was like one of the most awful atrocities in the history of the world. And I think the main difference here is the Jews did nothing wrong. Illegal immigration is illegal, and whether no matter what your stance is, there's something that is a policy that prohibits it that is not based on the fact that they are just not.
I mean, being an undocumented immigrant is a civil offense. It's not a criminal offense.
I hate that comparison. That's like comparing the LGBTQ movement to racism and systemic slavery and those things. Like, you can't. We're not here to compare hurt, but that one just currently is a gut punch for me. You know what I mean?
American and Native, Indigenous, and also Jewish by blood. I'm a fucking melting pot. I'll tell you, I think we romanticize how bad things were and I think we fail to recognize how easy it is for history to repeat itself. We have civil penalties. We are criminalizing mothers, fathers. We had a 3-year-old locked up in Texas. Is that what we're doing? It's abhorrent.
This has been, anytime someone gets a DUI, they get separated. Anytime anyone does any type of crime, when there's a kid involved, they get separated from their kids. And that's just what happens.
That is not a civil thing. You guys, this is crazy. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's not cannabis related. It's disgusting.
Okay, fair enough.
It's
fair enough. We can move on. It's no problem. I have no problem.
It's a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sucks. It's unfortunate. My friend's girlfriend got deported back to, I think she's Danish, so she got sent back over there, which they're probably sitting pretty over there. But like, I get it. It sucks, but it's not,
For the people who get sent back. But for those who don't have that or access to the resources to pay for a lawyer, the correlation is so much the same as people who went to jail for cannabis unnecessarily. The industry, we have to start seeing parallels where they exist, and we have to stop pretending that the 1940s are a distant memory, because they're not. They're happening now. We are living in the repercussions of our decisions.
Memories. Dale, you have any final thoughts you want to wrap up on this before we move on?
Well, there are a lot of currents going through our country right now, and the federal government is being realigned a bit. I think it's going back to the 1930s. That's where the Republican Party would like to take it. And there were some really bad things that happened in the 1930s. And I'm not saying there's correlations here specifically, but my family fought in World War II, and I don't want to see that ever happen again. We're seeing some trends toward authoritarianism right now that are concerning to me, and I think they should be concerning to everyone. So pay attention to it. Don't poo-poo what's happened in the past, because history tends to repeat itself. And the people who don't think so really don't know much about history. That's the problem we have. But what I can tell you about history is we don't fucking learn from history. That's the problem.
That's right. We are. Go ahead, Shaun.
Would that be the 37 Marijuana Tax Act that specifically was targeting Black and brown people? Is that why cannabis is illegal? Remind me.
Well, no, it's because DuPont Company had the patent for nylon. Guess which was its biggest competitor?
Hemp.
Was fiber from hemp.
Yep, it's all about the money.
We can get Manila. Called it Manila hemp in those days. It was another plant, and then the Japanese took the Philippines. It's like, well, fuck, that didn't work out so well. So then they started giving seeds out to farmers. Like, we really need hemp. We need fiber. We need fiber. Yes, we do. You kind of fucked up, didn't you? Well, we won't let anybody know we did this, but yeah, we kind of fucked up. That's just one of the many problems we've seen. With this plant, but big business is the tail that wags the dog in this country, and right now cannabis is not big enough business to be wagging the dog here. It's not.
That's so true. And on that, we're gonna roll in and take care of some business and play some commercials, and we're gonna be right back. Yes.
And perfume. That's how we used to roll.
Yes. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. We would super appreciate that. As well as all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website just immediately following the show's conclusion. And all of the links will be in our description following this. And also, to scroll on down, check out all the sponsors that help make the show happen every day. And use the link to order yourself a can of Liberal Tears. 150 milligrams of caffeine in every can, and it is the perfect beverage to have with your 4th of July celebrations. I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi. And we are back, you guys. And we are going to roll right in to Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a mediator, not a meteor, but she also is a mom and a veteran. That's right, it is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje.
Not a meteor, but I like one.
Yeah. Pow.
Oh, Lord. Oh, that last story got me fired up. But
yeah.
We will settle. Just kidding. No, we won't. We have a story coming out of New Mexico. My story today comes from New Mexico, written by journalist Patrick Lohman. This is from mainstream media, not a cannabis publication. New Mexico amps up cannabis enforcement by hiring new weed cops. Lawmakers are mulling reducing pot permits. Let's talk about it. More than 3 years after New Mexico legalized recreational marijuana, the state has become a national poster child for recreational marijuana sales, but not in a good way, argues State Senator Joseph Cervantes, a Democrat from Las Cruces. We've become the mecca for mota, Cervantes said. Sounds great. Using a slang term for marijuana common in New Mexico. And we have to ask ourselves, is that really what we want to be? I've got to ask you, why not? It's an agriculture crop. It produces a ton of money. It's not addicting. It's not always a vice. What is the deal with this? He and other state lawmakers on the legislature's interim courts and criminal justice committee met Monday morning in Taos to discuss the proliferation of shops across the state, as well as their hopes for a new brand of cannabis officers tasked with enforcing laws the legislature enacted when it legalized recreational marijuana in April 2022. Since legalizing cannabis, New Mexico retailers have sold about 1.7 billion combined in adult use and medical cannabis, with the help of more than 1,600 licensed cannabis-related businesses, such as retailers, testing labs, and producers, according to a presentation from state regulation and licensing department officials who spoke at the committee meeting. I'm going to bet that number is much higher, but those sales aren't legal. While the industry is booming, high-profile examples of marijuana scofflaws in the state prompted lawmakers this session to pass House Bill 10, which funds the hiring and training of a new team of fully certified law enforcement officers empowered to bring criminal charges against those who they suspect are lying about the source of the marijuana. If you're selling anything that's fallen off a California truck, you might want to look out. Exploiting their workers or altering the drug, which making synthetic cannabinoids. In the coming days, the state will advertise for a police chief in charge of the new crew of officers, according to Clay Bailey, the superintendent of New Mexico Regulation and Licensing Division. From there, they'll hire up to 6 more officers. The legislator says, quote, I really want seasoned people that know what they're doing, who have dealt with drugs and things before, and they know what they're getting into. This sounds like a terrible idea, and I'll explain later. Bailey said of the new hires, HB 10 also empowers the new officers to do more forensic accounting within the state system. There you go. That's your motivator, forensic accounting within the state system for tracking growers from seed to sale. The new hires free up inspectors to undertake audits to determine, for example, whether growers are lying about where their inventory came from or if they're flooding the market with illegal products, Bailey said. It's a reasonable concern. I'm just not sure if this is the best solution. 40 dispensaries and 1 grocery store. No limits exist in state law on the number of licenses that can be issued in New Mexico. We all thought this is a good thing. And local jurisdictions also cannot ban cannabis dispensaries from operating according to the Regulation and Licensing Division, though they can control how far apart they must be. Senator Antonio Mo Maestas, also a Democrat out of Albuquerque, suggested that lawmakers change state law to grant control over licenses to towns and cities. In Sunland Park, which borders Texas, where recreational marijuana is illegal, up to 40 cannabis retailers exist, state officials said Monday. This is just not healthy, Cervantes said, whose district includes Sunland Park. This is not a healthy environment for my community for Sunland Park to have 36 to 40 dispensaries, one grocery store, and maybe one liquor store. I'm okay with just having one liquor store. According to the state data presented Monday, the town of less than 20,000 people has generated the second highest amount of marijuana revenue in the state since April 2022. Where are they coming from? Are they all from New Mexico? Or could it be that they're from Texas? According to the state data presented Monday, regulators have tallied more than $127 million in recreational sales revenue from nearly 3 million transactions. Albuquerque has the highest earning city. It's generated $350 million. According to a 2024 Pew Research Center study, Oklahoma has the highest number of marijuana dispensaries per capita in the country, with 36 per 100,000 residents. Cervantes estimated New Mexico to be about 30 per 100,000, so only 6 shy of Oklahoma, which puts it far ahead of early marijuana adopters, California and Colorado. We know we wanted to do things different. A coalition of about 100 cannabis businesses in June 2023 asked the governor to issue a pause on new licenses, saying they face too much competition and chaos from a flourishing black market. The issue has not gone away. Several lawmakers say they want to see the issue addressed in next year's 30-day legislative session. Though budget-focused, New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham deemed the topic germane. I hope you'll ask the governor to fix what needs to be fixed, Cervantes told the state cannabis regulators at the meeting, and have us do that in the remaining administration in the 30-day session coming up. The governor's office did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Late Monday afternoon, however, in a town hall meeting in July in Española, the governor did acknowledge that the state needed to fix its process for licensing in response to a resident's complaint about the number of dispensaries. Expect the state to propose some restrictions, the governor said, drawing applause, saying that licensing didn't roll out the way we intended for it to roll out. Okay, couple things. They have 40 stores. Eventually, some of those are going to close down. I don't understand why we're so against the market self-correcting. It's only going to help illicit operators to become licensed and then to go through the process of succeeding or failing as a business. What's the problem? We do this with every other industry. We do not have license caps for other industries. I understand the concern of an overabundance and overproliferation, but if they're selling that much and the consumers are demanding it, and consumers in that area only need one grocery store, but they want 40 dispensaries, or they at least are going to give 40 dispensaries a chance to compete, then what's the problem? We're going to see this peak at the beginning of legalization or regulation, and then you always see it drop and plateau into a standard, like who can actually operate a business. I get like where they're coming from, but it sounds like what they're really trying to do is make sure that out-of-state products aren't infiltrating the market, that products from New Mexico aren't going to Texas, which they are, and that they are doing the forensic accounting so they can get every single penny from operators because they want that money. There's some merit to the questions being posed, and they do need to consider how this can be done better, but I don't think limited licensing has ever been the answer. I'm going to toss this back to y'all to get your feedback because I am scratching my head.
Yeah, this is super disappointing. New Mexico, I think when they first released their regulatory framework and licensing scheme, it was really a source of optimism because they were going with that open market model. They had very low licensing fees. They weren't putting any type of state level caps, and even at a local level, we didn't see a lot of limiting of licenses. And I mean, I think similar to Oklahoma in the way that they initially rolled out their licensing, New Mexico was doing more for the concept of social equity and creating access for, less capitalized operators, people that may have been harmed by the war on drugs, by having low barriers to entry. So to see them start to walk that back is really disappointing. I hope they reconsider this.
It doesn't sound to me like they're going to even reconsideration is even on the table after hearing this whole story. It sounds like they're going to be going full gung ho, basically balls to the walls on trying to reel this back in.
I mean, then what's going to happen is people are going to start going back to Trinidad, Colorado, and buying all their weed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully we'll legalize Texas. They can come next door.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trinidad because cannabis saved Trinidad. Look at the signs all over it. It was an old steel milling town that was completely out of use, and cannabis saved it. So shout out to Trini. Also a very terrible place.
Shout out to the homie Kayvon too, who's been instrumental in trying to rejuvenate that place too.
Yes. Also shout out to him, and not shout out to the tarantula migration.
I'm curious, what y'all what would the industry propose? How do we solve this problem? Because we're going to point when we're writing laws for other states like Alabama, Texas, North Carolina, we're trying to point to open markets as a good practice. And we have to get legislators comfortable with this. But when we see that the industry, I get that trap mindset. I get it. But after a certain point, you jeopardize your own cause by continuing to behave in this way as an industry. And we've got to organize and create. We have to self-regulate a bit. We have to be proactive about it, or else they're going to do things like this.
So on that point, it's, first of all, trapping is a lifestyle, not a mindset. Shout out to people who, whatever. But I think that it's important to acknowledge that we have to have regulations and we have to have a system that doesn't force operators into trapping to survive. Because until we have that, until we have reasonable tax structures, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. None of them are going to be solved very soon because no one actually gives a fuck to solve them. So I think, until we have something that fucking works and makes it worthwhile to operate in a compliant fashion, you're still going to see people who are going to continue to trap because they have to survive. Mm-hmm. If your kids aren't going to eat tomorrow, Shaun, you'd probably do a lot of things that you might not want to.
I mean,
my proposal for California is basically the same thing they did in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. Is get the fuck away from this and let the market drive this. Okay. And you'll get a hell of a lot more tax revenues out of it if you really have concentrations like this. And I'm sure Texas had something to say about, well, you guys got 40 stores right across our border because you fuckers have rectal myopia and won't allow this to happen in Texas. So the market's going to take them where they're going to want to go, which is, I want weed. Okay. So they're not learning that lesson. And California's got to do something. I mean, and my proposal to our legislature is to do what New Mexico did. The locals out of it. Yeah, you can have zones and hours of operation. That's about it. Stay out of it. Mm-hmm. Let the state license. No local regulations, no local taxes. I mean, I think we should have some consideration for social equity at the local level, maybe a 0.5% tax or something. But get rid of these. My proposal is 3% excise tax. Mm-hmm. Just let the market go. Half of businesses fail in 5 years. Okay. This is a much more taxing business, if you will, to run. So let people go try. And if they can't make it, they can't make it. And at some point it'll level out. But as we all can see, people's butts start to pucker when this starts to be successful. We're going to have to go rein it in. Why? I mean, there's a liquor store in every goddamn corner in California.
Exactly.
Okay? And no one's concerned about your children seeing liquor commercials and things. It's a mindset. And, I go back to the time of prohibition for alcohol. It was a heavily driven Protestant Christian push to get people to stop taking things they didn't want you to take. Mm-hmm. Now, you're not my fucking mother. Okay. I'll take what I goddamn well want to take, especially in privacy of my own home. And I think the public's getting there quicker than these politicians are. So let's just, I wish it was better, but wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up first. We have to deal with these problems right now. And it's a higgledy-piggledy mess. No one has the answer. And certainly saying, we got to have, one dispensary for every 10,000 people. Says who?
Yeah.
These are artificial numbers they throw at us when they don't work. Now what do we do? We'll just get the hell out of the way and let this thing. If someone is diverting or inverting, that's a whole different problem. But if you're growing weed and run it through the system and people want to buy it from you, that's how that should be our gold star. That's how it should work. And if it works in the black markets, fails, great. They stop spending law enforcement money on people who just want to get high. Stay the fuck away from them.
Fair enough.
I think there's a couple things that we need regulators and legislators to understand. For one, we need them to respect us as an industry, not pinch their noses at us and use us as a cash cow to fund whatever bullshit initiatives that they're trying to fund, or maybe they're legitimate initiatives. So let me take that back. But stop looking at us as people that they have to deal with, but being a cash cow. And the other thing is that, to your point, Dale, whether it's one dispensary for every 10,000 people, like that none of that shit matters. If you're charging just for easy numbers' sake, if there's $1 billion of demand in the state of New Mexico, whether that's retail or trap or combined, and you can charge 5% excise tax, 5% on $1 billion in revenue is 5% on $1 billion. It doesn't matter if it's coming from 10 stores or 1,000 stores. The money is the same at the end of the day to the government. They're not losing anything by creating more access points. And I don't know how we get legislators in different states to understand that, but I think that's really the point here, is that at the end of the day, you want the retail demand, the legal retail demand, to be higher, right? So you need to lower the taxes and create more access points for people so that they're not going to the trap. If that's the ultimate goal. Again, I don't have any moral or ethical issue with the trap, obviously, but if that is the goal of what the government wants, and there's a way to get there, and that's creating more access points and reducing barriers to entry and reducing taxes.
Interesting. All right, well, fair enough. And on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Easy there.
Oh, bringing up the caboose, the biggest pain in my rear. And
no, Jenny Beth, you got to introduce Sohum. I don't understand what your problem is.
Damn, what am I, chopped liver?
Yeah, so rude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sohum.
I'm just here to talk shit about everyone else's stories, I guess.
Yeah, it's Jenny Beth.
He's not chopped liver, but he is a little sensitive this morning.
Yeah, he is. Well, he's just getting over COVID, so you know what I mean.
Can I get my intro off?
Go. I mean, you should have started off with that.
I was introducing him.
Go for it.
I was doing my intro.
Okay.
Dang it.
Go for it.
Don't
Jenny.
let a black woman speak. I see how this show works. Anyhow,
I guess.
The other.
Yeah.
All right, straight from the great city of the ATX, hailing from the great state of Colorado, Sohum Shah with a decade of tech experience in cannabis and opinions a mile long. Go ahead, buddy.
A mile long? Yeah, no, I'm not too sensitive this morning. I'm just giving you shit, Jenny, just because sometimes it's fun. But my story today comes from the Marijuana Herald, from Anthony Martinelli, and we're talking about California cannabis regulators seeking a PR firm for a $2.4 million education campaign. Throwing it back to our conversation from earlier about government contracts. So California's Department of Cannabis Control, the DCC, is seeking a public relations firm to lead a $2.4 million statewide cannabis education set to run for 3 years. According to state documents, proposals are due by July 16th, with the contract expected to begin the week of August 26th. The initial term would run through June 30th, 2027, with the option for a 1-year renewal at up to a 30% increase in cost. The selected firm would be tasked with extending the DCC's Real California Cannabis campaign, aimed at educating adult-use marijuana consumers through a multi-platform media effort. The project includes developing a PR and social media strategy that encourages responsible legal marijuana purchases and enhances traffic to the campaign's official website, real.cannabis.ca.gov. To be eligible, agencies must demonstrate at least 3 years of experience in public health or social cause marketing with a minimum of 10 employees, a California office, and $6 million in annual gross billings. Firms must also show experience working with multilingual and multicultural audiences. Any applicants with active conflicts of interest related to tobacco, e-cigarettes, marijuana, opioids, or pharmaceuticals will be disqualified. Agencies with alcohol clients must disclose those relationships. The DCC, which operates under Governor Newsom's office, oversees commercial cannabis regulation and directs statewide communication efforts through its public affairs division. You can read more at the website and learn a little bit more about this contract that's going out. I definitely have some thoughts on this. You know, I guess it's nice to see the government trying to give a contract back to potentially somebody that's ancillary to the industry, but I think there's better ways to get people to go to legal stores, regulated stores, to buy their cannabis. I don't know, but spending $2.4 million of taxpayer money over the next 3 years, I mean, it is a drop in the hat compared to the budget of California. But as we've discussed ad nauseum on this show, I think creating more access points, reducing local taxes, and issuing more licenses is probably a more effective path to get people to go into legal stores. But let's kick it back to the rest of the team. This is Sohum reporting for High 9 News, live from the ATX, Jason Beck's favorite acronym and favorite city.
It's Austin, bro. Austin, Texas, okay? I don't understand why you always are disrespecting your town like that. It's so rude.
ATX.
So rude.
No, it's just a familiar way to do it, Jason. It's like,
No, it's not. It's disrespectful.
Their nickname.
Very disrespectful. I feel bad.
I think you ought to see somebody about that butt sphincter tightening you have when someone says ATX there.
Yeah, Jason, I've got some. When I give you your CBD creams today, I'll give you some capsules you can shove up there.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
My thoughts.
Calm your ass down.
Go for it, Dale.
If you let the government try to teach you something, I don't remember a success story with the government trying to teach you something about drugs.
Look at our public education system right now. A perfect example, right, Dale?
This reminds me of that education campaign they tried launching in 2014 when Colorado legalized adult use, and I can't remember the exact amount of money they spent on it. It was well over $1 million, and they hired some artists to create these rat cages that they put in public.
Oh, I remember that.
And the whole idea was that we're all lab rats in an experiment of legalization, and
I remember that
completely backfired. Yeah, the only thing that happened was a bunch of teenagers went and smoked weed inside the rat cages and took selfies of it. So that's what this sounds like. I guess the only silver lining here is that they're actually going to pay a private enterprise to do the education instead of trying to do it themselves, which I think is maybe a little bit better. But I don't
approve it though.
I think it's a waste of money.
I went in and I read.
Be honest.
Yeah,
they're not honest about this stuff.
Yeah, I went on and I read some of the qualifications in order to qualify, and it's like you have to have been in operation for like 3 or 4 years. You have to have a minimum of 10 employees. You have to have
$6 million in annual gross.
$6 million in annual gross. You also have to have experience in multilingual publication.
That part I'm okay with, given California's demographic. That's like the most reasonable part of that. I do think it's funny, but they disqualify anybody that has a conflict of interest related to vapes or tobacco.
No, they didn't say you're disqualified. They said you have to disclose that. You have to disclose it in your application.
No. That's only for alcohol. Any applicants with active conflicts of interest related to tobacco, e-cigs, marijuana, opioids, or pharmaceuticals will be disqualified.
Interesting.
Agencies with alcohol clients must disclose their relationships. So I guess my question is, why are they drawing the line there? Either they should say no to all of it or yes to all of it. That doesn't make... I'm okay with them not allowing anybody that has those conflicts of interest with any of those industries.
They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna find many companies that can produce that kind of revenue without those kinds of clients. Sohum.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not getting a pure cannabis PR firm.
Yeah, there's no cannabis.
6 million in gross annually
exactly.
With 10 employees and an office in California. Like, good luck.
Yeah,
with that.
good luck with that. Yeah, California is, most of these places have also moved out of California just for better taxes and whatnot. And so I wonder who ultimately would qualify for this contract. It's probably written like that so then that way it's like there's probably only like 1 to 2 companies that would even qualify in the first place to be able to go after this. So then that way they're kind of forced having to choose them.
Whichever company that is helped write those.
Yeah,
those
exactly. Well. I'm willing to guess that too. So I would guess on that as well. But I think it's a total waste of money overall. I think the state can they can come up with their own public service messages and whatnot. I mean, they already came up with a whole little emailer that they send out to all the licensees every time a product gets recalled and everything else like that, and why they need someone directly to speak to the general public. I mean, they could just put together a billboard campaign across the state and probably get better results than what's probably going to happen with this contract or whatnot. But I can't
wait to see the corny ass ads they're going to put out about like some guy buying from the trap on the street and how dangerous or whatever the fuck it is, and like it's going to be.
You mean how I had fentanyl in it? Watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Corny ass shit for sure.
Yep. It's going to be some gaslighting.
I wanted some fire, but I got some Fenty.
Yeah.
Y'all use that. I want my 10% dick.
If you try to scare young people, they're going to do the exact opposite. And that's what they've done. They tried fear tactics. Let's scare you about something. And I was a teenager. It's like, oh, the forbidden fruit. Fuck you. I'm going to go do it anyway. And that's where I really part company with the government trying to teach us about anything. Because they can't find their ass with both hands. I'd like to know what is the goal they're trying to achieve here with this education, and then see, can we make them accountable to actually get there? And if not, then it's just, put this money into social equity or something.
I can tell you what the goal is, Dale. The goal is to divert this revenue into someone's company that's probably the only qualifier for the company. And so I mean, I'm willing to bet that's the objective. I mean, whether or not whatever results, they're not going to have a way of measuring it, you know what I mean, in the first place to see if it's successful or anything else like that. They're just going to be like, oh, this makes me feel good inside. This must be good. And that's pretty much going to be their only outlier.
Well, just being honest with young people, they're not using weed to the way that we used to. Okay. That's a success right there. Just be honest with them. Don't try to scare them. Tell them this stuff will get you high. We don't know what it does. You can get it if you want to. We don't recommend you do. Alcohol will kill you. Tobacco will kill you. This stuff won't. We don't recommend you do it. Just those messages, kids went, okay, I won't go out and experiment like I would before when they told me, oh, you can't do this. And all you had was your little friends whisper in your ear. That's success. The government can't teach us shit. If you look at, this should be part of school. I mean, quite frankly, public health should talk about sex, drugs, alcohol, how to balance your goddamn checkbook, stuff you're going to need to know.
Well, you know what else it needs to teach you, Dale? It needs to teach you how to file your taxes, because that's the one thing that teaches that every American has to do that schools do not teach at all whatsoever.
I don't understand it.
It's so crazy, so half-assed backwards. I'm with you, Dale. Well, on that, thank you, Sohum, and welcome back, Sohum. We're glad you're feeling better.
Yep, thank you. It's good to be back. Good to be back at 100%.
Yeah, baby.
Welcome back. We missed you.
Yes.
And bringing up the caboose, the biggest pain in my rear, the high at 9 head honcho, Jason Beck.
Well, I have a fantastic story to end the day with, Jenny Beth. You know what I mean? We've been trying to find good stories to end on. And, you know, some people may think this is good, and I think we have a video that we're going to try to play too while this is going on. So I hope you guys enjoy this as we get this set up for you guys. I hope you enjoy it, because, man, a video captures a Toledo police officer buying marijuana while in duty and in uniform. You guys, that's right. The 13 Action News I-Team obtained the video that led to the officer's termination, and the story from the now former officer Jeremy Burnt, B-E-R-N-D-T, I think that's pretty funny that that's his last name, was that because he got burnt, that he was trying to buy hemp to help a family member get off marijuana. Investigators didn't buy that, though, because in December of 2024, then Toledo police officer Burnt, on duty in uniform and carrying a department-issued firearm, showed up at a Maximum Performance Cycles on Lansky Road near Lewis Street. And Bernard takes cash out of his wallet and lays it on the desk, and a few moments later, another man takes a green leafy substance out of a drawer, and that man weighs the substance, and the money is counted. Burnt actually gets some money back, and the substance is put into Burnt's pocket, and Toledo Police Internal Affairs investigators said this is a classic drug deal. Now, former officer Burnt disputes what you see. He says he was a customer of the bike shop and friends with the owner, and Burnt said the money he's laying down is payment for bike detailing. As for the green substance he's receiving in return, the Internal Affairs Review recounts that Officer Burnt continued that while they were in the shop, he mentioned that a family member was trying to quit marijuana. That's when he said another man in the shop said, "Give him some of that hemp we got." Further testing found the green leafy substance was marijuana, and Burnt said he had no idea of that, and he wouldn't know the difference between hemp and marijuana. The 21-year veteran police officer stated he believed marijuana and hemp look and smell the same, according to the Internal Affairs report. And pressed further, Burnt continues to say this is not a drug transaction, even when shown on this video. One sergeant questioned him, disagreeing, adding, "I think Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles could see this would be a drug transaction." And police put this place on their radar originally because they received a complaint about stolen motorcycle parts and drug possession, which led to a grand jury indictment of the owners and Mike and Marcus Caputo for drug possession and receiving stolen property, and that investigation has led them to this incident. Burnt has been convicted of dereliction of duty, for which he received a community service sentence, and Toledo Police Chief Mike Tronadel terminated Burnt in June. As the I-Team has previously reported, Maximum Performance Cycles is not a licensed marijuana dispensary, and Burnt's community service will be working with kids at the Frederick Douglass Center in Toledo, Ohio, teaching them the best ways to interact with police. And then there's some excerpts from the full supplemental crime report down below that I'm going to read a little bit from. I think you guys will get a kick. On December 6, 2024, an anonymous complaint called the Toledo Police Detective Bureau to report several crimes occurring at Maximum Performance Cycles at 1036 West Lasky Road in Toledo. The caller detailed the owner was building motorcycles with stolen parts and possessed drugs in the business. The caller also alleged that Officer Jeremy Burnt, number 2367, frequented the business while working on duty, and he knew of the illegal activity occurring in the business. On December 9th, 2024, detectives went to the business, and allegations from the caller were confirmed, including Officer Burnt's personal motorcycle being in the shop with a stolen transmission, and all the provided information was accurate. Subsequent contact with the caller on December 10th, 2024 revealed that Officer Burnt had been present when employees of their business were using marijuana and even purchased marijuana products to take to his wife. On December 8th, 2024 at 8:08 hours, Officer Burnt was interviewed in the Office of Internal Affairs by Sergeant M. McClisserak, number 2468. Officer Burnt was provided a copy of the DIF and Employee Bill of Rights, and Officer Burnt stated he understood his rights and had no questions regarding his rights, and President Hayes and Vice President Zazadu of the TPPA were present to represent Officer Burnt. Questioning began with the reading of a paragraph describing a search warrant that was conducted by Toledo Police detectives on December 9th at Maximum Performance Cycles, and Officer Burnt confirmed that he knew the owner of the shop, Mike Caputo, and has had a relationship with him since the officer was a teenager. The officer confirmed that he and Mr. Caputo go out to dinner a couple times a year and ride motorcycles together occasionally, and when asked about spending time with Mike at his home, the officer stated that he has attended holiday parties in the past but does not see him much outside of those types of private events. The officer confirmed that Mr. Caputo was married, but his wife passed years ago. And this thing goes on and on and on and on and on, you guys. And man, this was this little shop motorcycle shop that the police were frequenting. I feel like this is just like a little story out of Sons of Anarchy, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
It goes on and on. Can't understand why it lasts so long. Because you could have summed that story up easily. First of all, shout out to Officer Burnt. I'll fucking burn one down with you. This guy sounds like a cool guy. I'd much rather get pulled over by him than Officer Stick up his dick, because I guarantee you, Officer Burnt is just going to take my shit and send me on my way. So that's fine. Like, listen, I grew up in a small town. Here's what happens in small towns. Some of us take one path and some of us take the other, but you've been friends your whole life, right? So that's why the cops have come up to me and been like, hey, Jenny, get the fuck out of here. You got a warrant right now. And you know what I did? I ski-daddled. So, listen, I don't think Officer Burnt was checking the VINs on all the fucking motorcycle parts. He's like, hey, my buddy fixes my bike. He's always fixed my bike. Like, we're cool, whatever. And to be fair, hemp and marijuana do look and smell the same. Officer, come on. And first of all, the real tragedy in this article is that someone who serves their community in such a capacity as a police officer, somebody who's responding to car crashes where they're finding babies smeared on the road, someone who's going to domestic violence incidents and watching some woman who's just been beat half to death by her husband, should be able to come home and smoke a fucking joint.
I find it comical, though. He acts just like every client I've ever had who watched the video and go, that's not me. Or that's not what I'm doing. Or, no, you didn't catch me doing that.
I was buying hemp.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
It's all THCA, technically, Dale.
Yeah, give me something more to work with, dude, or you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, cops usually do get away with lying in their reports, and they get away with a lot more than the rest of us do. So I'm sure he was just used to that. I'm still laughing at the fact that his name is Officer Burnt. Like, I cannot get over that. That is too fucking funny.
He didn't make him read him his rights. He's like, I know what the fuck it is. I got this. Thank you very much. I understand.
He's like, I get it. I'm burnt.
But
he's like, yeah, like, listen.
Doesn't you guys have anything to say about this being a motorcycle chop shop, though, huh? I mean, his bike had a stolen transmission in it when it was getting repaired.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't give that much of a fuck about that.
Man, that to me is the more interesting part. But,
Yeah, I mean, I'm more curious about what other. I mean, if he had no problem being in uniform making a buy, like, I'm sure that's just the surface of whatever dirt that fool was doing.
It was only hemp, though. Sohum.
That's all he got caught for.
Yeah, it was just hemp. It's THCA.
I mean, and like, whatever. I don't care. He could smoke THCA.
But what about the part
on duty for that matter? Like, I really don't care. It doesn't bother me. I'm just saying, if he was being that brazen about it,
what about
I imagine that's not the only thing that he was doing. What
about the part, though, Sohum, that he told Internal Affairs that he was buying it for his wife, and then Internal Affairs said that his wife died a few years ago?
Yeah, I mean,
no. It wasn't Officer Burnt's wife that died. It was the fucking guy that owned the motorcycle shop.
Okay.
That's why they were
Why did you just read the
together.
story and not understand the content?
Jenny Beth, sometimes I make mistakes. I'm a human being.
This show brought to you by Jason's reading comprehension.
I was never good at reading comprehension.
Average MAGA reading comprehension.
Hey, first of all, I scored off the charts on reading comprehension, so don't put that jacket on me.
Yeah. You might be an anomaly then.
I am. many ways.
Speaking of anomalies, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution, Tested, and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai out there in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.